Hi everybody! In this video I want to show you my approach to building a pedalboard without gear acquisition syndrome. I haven't played with a band since more than 8 years. Some of the old band members and myself decided to get together and play some of our songs, for now with no particular goal, maybe a gig in some time or to have a few things recorded. However, I decided about some playing in a band after a long time and of course need to get a rig together. Well, I hadn't stopped playing in the meantime, of course, but my amps, pedals and guitars were used more or less in changing constellations. Since I collected quite a bit of stuff in all the years I've been playing guitar, I decided, or more realistically spoken, forced myself not to purchase anything new, but use what I have available. Same for the pedalboard, in which I want to organize my pedals now. So don't expect the latest tech or fancy boutique stuff here in this video. By the way, I thought putting this into a video might help someone else as well with the same type of challenge. This video is all about choosing pedals for required sounds and building a comfortable solution for their use. First of all, I gathered all of the pedals in front of me to decide what I'm going to use. I need to become clear about the sounds I require and how to get them. I definitely want to have each sound available with one step as a preset. Therefore, I'm going to use my trusty and easy to program G.A.S. loop switcher, which offers 6 loops, MIDI, amp switching, pedal power supply, switchable buffer and so on. Well, G.A.S. welcome on board. Everything should come down to one bank of the G.A.S, so I limit myself to 10 presets, which pretty much covers my needs. I'll be showing the planned setup later, so my 10 sounds will be as follows. Beside a reverb pedal always on for adding some permanent ambience and to save one loop, I think I will have a dry clean sound in one without any ambience or fancy stuff. Expect the reverb always on. On 2 I'm going to have a clean sound with a short delay, kind of a slapback. On 3 a clean atmospheric sound with modulation and a long delay. A crunch sound will be on 4, also dry. Then a crunch sound with some chorus will be on 5, just to have some of a sweep sound in some of the rhythm parts. Number 6 will be a crunch with a short delay, or a dirty sound with a short delay. A heavier crunch sound will be on 7 for the heavier stuff. A dry lead sound on 8. An atmospheric lead sound on number 9. And some type of a destroyed lead sound on 10. So therefore I'm going to use the G.A.S. Thus, having realized from the pedals I have available, I will need overdrive, modulation, delay, some kind of fuzz and reverb. In front of it all, I'd also like to have a volume pedal, a wah and a tuner. Looking at this mess, I think everybody understands why a pedalboard is a good thing. I'm now going to show what pedals out of this bunch I choose. I'm not going to deep dive into them, because they're pretty common and I guess there's a lot of reviews out there. So here are my choices. Overdrive. From the overdrive, distortion or boost pedals I have, one decision fell on the Strymon Sunset offers a variety of great sounds and to me is kind of an all-in-one overdrive pedal. Sounds can be stored and accessed via MIDI, which can save a lot of space on the board if you only have to use one pedal for everything. Compression. I only have one compressor pedal, which should help me a little with my poor finger picking. To me, this one smoothens out the frequency relations and dynamics without being too much penetrating. The MXR Dyna comp. Modulation. For atmospheric sounds, my choice fell on the The Boss CE5 was one of the first pedals I bought. I think I have this one for almost 30 years now. Sound-wise it doesn't appear overloaded, and depending on the settings just offers the right amount of a slightly sweeping sound in a guitar setup. Delay. For the short delay I'm going to use this one. This Boss DM2W Bucket Brigade delay offers a really nice slapback sound, which I'm going to use it for. The job of the long delay will be done by this one. The Time Machine came out around 2009 when I got it as a Christmas present from my wife and used it every now and then ever since. It never disappointed me for what it does, and I can tap the tempo if needed. Fuzz. Coming to the fuzz. Well, I found the Octavix smaller and more flexible because it is also an octaver. Altogether a so-called octafuzz. This is what I'm going to use for kind of a damaged, destroyed lead sound. Reverb. Though I'm going to use the reverb only for some always-on ambience, I decided for the more flexible one with the better form factor for pedalboard. So here it is. Sounds nice, doesn't it? The Fender Marine Layer reverb. Wowee-Wah. Out of my 3 wahs, I chose the one without a switch to turn it on. Well, it could have also been the Bad Horsey, but it doesn't offer much adjustment and to me is a little harsh in the highs sometimes. I like the sound of the Vox-Wah, but I'd have to switch it on for every use and the wah pot gets worn out and needs to be replaced from time to time. The Wowee-Wah is a great choice, I think. Volume pedal and tuner. I didn't need a volume pedal in the past, but since I have a Les Paul type guitar, it is a good thing for swells and violining. The only volume pedal I have is the That is a great pedal. No sound loss right in the beginning of the signal chain, a buffered output and also no mechanical pot. Well, the tuner does what a tuner does. I have this one. The D'Addario PW CT20 is precise and very well visible in dark locations. Does the job on the board. And last but not least, it can't be played that loud everywhere anymore, or amps and speakers can be simulated. To me, rock music needs feedback. Therefore, I have this crazy little box here. just to have it available in case I'm unable to generate real feedback when it feels right. So that's all that will go on the board and hopefully create the required sounds. We'll see. Now, let's start building. On the right, we're going to have volume and wah, Freqout and the tuner. On the left, there will be the G.A.S. C3 switch looper and the other pedals with wiring and power supply below them. The guitar will go into the volume pedal, which will go into the wah, then to the Strymon Sunset, which won't need an extra loop because it can be switched completely via MIDI. The Sunset will go into the Freqout and to the guitar system controller. The tuner out will of course go into the tuner. The output of the G.A.S. C3 will go into the reverb, which as mentioned is always on, and then into the effects return of the amplifier. Loop 1 will be used for the compressor, loop 2 for the Octavix, and loop 3 is used for the 4-cable method for the effects loop of the amplifier. So the FX sent from the amp will go into the return of loop 3, and the send of loop 3 will go into the amp input. From loop 4, everything will go over the effects loop of the amp this way. So loop 4 will have the chorus, loop 5 the slapback delay, and loop 6 the long delay. The MIDI out of the G.A.S. C3 will cover the MIDI switching for the Strymon Sunset. I still have this old pedalboard flight case here I want to use. To fit the pedals in, I have to make some modifications on the inside. First of all, some woodwork. I want to hide the power supply below the pedals, so I fitted the wood and put it together to a little wood frame, which should be the basement below the pedals. I sprayed it in black to appear in a subtle way and mounted it to the board. On the back of the frame I mounted a power strip with a metal plate as a shield from the AC power towards pedal and signal cables. The power supply for the pedals will be the Palmer PWT12. It has 12 isolated outputs, 8 with 9 volts, 4 adjustable from 6 to 18 volts. I can only recommend it. It has really kept the hum away and never let me down. On the ceiling of this basement, the pedals are being mounted. The pedals get attached to the board with screws. I am not a fan of sticky Velcro stuff. Therefore, I'm using so-called mounties. Just use the bottom screws of a pedal to mount the plates with which everything gets screwed to the board then. It doesn't work that well on the marine layer reverb with the mounties, so I decided just to put on the Velcro on this one, which should also work. This is how it looks now. I made it to mount everything on the below surface, but the cabling, the wiring is a real challenge and will be for the second story as well. But I will get it work. Don't forget to already plug in the signal cables before screwing the pedals to the board. I already mounted 2 hinges to the upper board, so it can be lifted for wiring or access to the power supply. These hinges in particular remain in a 90-degree position when lifted, so nothing can fall over. Further, you can see the drilled holes for the cables into the basement. Now, building this board wasn't such an easy thing. Be glad you didn't hear me cursing and saying evil words. I cut this all out. But I think we have a great result. And now let's see how the plan turned out and how it plays and sounds.